Hey everyone, today is Thursday, May 14th. We're going to start our new lesson on measurement, and this time we're going to be talking about metric measurement, which may be brand new to some of you. Um, and as you can see, I had our customary conversions off to this side of my board, and our metric conversions, there's not many at all. There's really only two or three that we're going to be using. I did upload an anchor chart to your Google Classroom. It was one of your attachments for today. If you have access to a printer and you would like to print that out, you may print that out because you can use it to help you with these lessons. If you don't have access to a printer like myself here, I actually decided just to write it on my marker board to help me out. You can write it on a scrap piece of paper, and that way you can keep it close and use it as you need it. This one, metric conversions are typically a lot easier because you're multiplying by tens, multiplying by hundreds, and multiplying by thousands. So the math is normally pretty easy. So I'm going to kind of get you started today. We're going to tie it in just like we did with customary measurement. We're going to start with input-output tables. And then I have some sample problems like you're going to be working on today. And then I'm actually going to do problem number 3 for you on your first page just to get you guys started. And when you're doing your input-output table, I want you to remember a kilometer is the biggest unit that we're going to be talking about in metric measurement. And a kilometer is kind of similar to a mile. It's typically used when you're measuring a distance traveled. It could be running, it could be driving, it could be flying, but it's typically a relatively large distance. And 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. A meter, just to kind of give you an idea, if you would stand and look at a door, and if you would look at the floor, and then if you would actually look at the door handle, that is about the length of a meter. So again, you can tell that a meter is not a very large unit of measurement compared to a kilometer. So in this first example, we're going from kilometers to meters, and if you remember from our last lesson in customary, whenever we go from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, we actually have to use multiplication. If we go from a smaller unit to a larger unit, we actually have to use division. So if I use my anchor chart, I know that 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. So all I'm doing here is I'm just multiplying by 1,000. So for the first one, 1 times 1,000 would just be obviously 1,000 meters. For my second example, if I had 5 kilometers, again, I'm given my bigger unit, so I have to go to my smaller unit. In order to go from big to small, we use multiplication. I'm going to multiply by 1,000. So if I have 5 kilometers, it would be 5 times 1,000, which would be 5,000 meters. In the last example that I'm going to do for you, I actually gave you the smaller unit. I gave you 12,000 meters, and you're going to convert it to kilometers. So again, because you have the smaller unit and we're going to the larger unit, you must use division in order to figure this one out. Well, the cool thing when you're dividing by zeros is this. If I wanted to do this, I would just put my 12,000. That's my measurement. I would come over here and I know that 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000. So I'm going to write that. And the zeros cancel out. So this only works when you're working with zeros. But because I have 3 zeros on top, 1, 2, 3, I can get rid of them. I get rid of 1, 2, 3. And now I'm just doing 12 divided by 1. And I know that 12 divided by 1 would be 12. And I can check this just to make sure. I could use a calculator, I could use my phone to check it, but I know that 12, if I go the opposite way from big to small, 12 times 1,000 would be 12,000. So it's a cool little trick that you guys can use when you are dividing by 1,000. Now, the other conversion we're going to do today is we're going to go from meters to centimeters. And again, in this case, the bigger unit would be the meter. The smaller unit would be the centimeter. We're going to multiply. If you're given a centimeter and you're going to a meter, we do the opposite, a related fact, you would actually divide. And if you remember from just a second ago, I said that a meter was, if you're looking at a door, it's from the floor of your door to your door handle. That is about the length of a meter. A centimeter is your pinky. And it's about how wide your pinky is. So again, you can see that a centimeter is a very, very small unit of measurement. Now, our anchor chart says that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. So in my first example, I'm given 1 meter, so I know I have to multiply because I'm going from a bigger unit to a smaller, and I know it would be times 100. Well, 1 times 100 would be 100. For my next example, I'm giving you 8 meters. So again, I'm going from a larger unit to a smaller, so I have to multiply. And I would be multiplying by 100 because our anchor chart says 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. Well, I know 8 times 100 would be 800. Our last example that I'm going to give to you, I actually gave you the centimeters. So we're going to go from the smaller unit to the larger unit. So we have to use a related factor. We have to divide. Well, I'm still using 100. I'm just dividing by 100 this time. And my same trick works over here that I used for my other problem because they have 0. So I'm going to write my 600 centimeters. I'm going to write my 100 meters because I know that there is 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. And I'm going to divide them, but my zeros cancel out. So I get rid of those two. I get rid of those two. And 6 divided by 1 is 6. So that's a pretty easy way for you guys to do your conversions for those. So the last type of problem you're going to work on today is I'm going to give you, and you should be very familiar with these. We've done a lot of these before. But I'm giving you some kilometers and some meters, and you're going to subtract some kilometers and meters. But the first thing you must do is you must put them all into the smallest unit. So because these are all kilometers and meters, the smallest unit would be meter. So I'm going to use my conversion chart. I know that 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So all I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to multiply these kilometers by 1,000 to figure out how many meters that is. Well, I know, because I can pull out, it's the 0 trick. I know that 1 times 401 would be 401. And then I'm going to count my zeros, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So it really, 401 kilometers is equivalent to 401,000 meters. And I'm going to add my 101 meters that were already there. So when I add those together, I get 401,101 meters. That's my total of those. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I have some kilometers inside. I have some meters. I'm going to put them all into meters. And I remember that 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. So I'm going to take this 34 and I'm also going to multiply it by 1,000. Remember your trick with zeros. I'm going to ignore the zeros to start and just do my numbers. 1 times 34 is 34. Count your zeros. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I know it's equal to 34,000. And I'm going to add the 153 that were already there. So that's going to be 34,153 meters. And the original problem said they wanted us to subtract them. So I'm going to set up a subtraction problem over here. I'll rewrite my numbers. So 401,101 meters minus 34,153 meters, and that's how I'll get my answer. I know I can't do 1 minus 3, so I have to borrow. I can't borrow from a 0, so I'm going to borrow from the 1, becomes a 0. 0 becomes a 10, and then I'm going to cross that 10 off and make it a 9, so I can borrow from it, and that 1 becomes an 11. 11 minus 3 is 8. 9 minus 5 is 4. I can't do my 0 minus 1, so again, so I'm going to borrow. The 1 becomes a 0. The 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. I can't do 0 minus 4, so I have to borrow. Unfortunately, there's a 0. I can't borrow from it, so I'll borrow from the 4. It becomes a 3. That 0 becomes a 10. And now I'm going to borrow from it, turn it into a 9, and now I can make that 0 a 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 3 is 6, and 3 minus nothing is 3. So I know that 401 kilometers, 101 meters, minus 34 kilometers, 153 meters, would be a grand total of 366,948 meters. All right, guys, so I'm going to turn you guys loose to work on your conversions today. You have the rest to work on. If you have any questions, please reach out through a private comment. I'll be happy to get back to you. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of your day.